Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's me, Sarah Choi. If you're new to my channel, I talk a lot about true crime cases here in Japan, and also I sometimes talk about things I've been thinking on my mind, and I like to let it out in these videos because it sort of ease the emotions and like ease my thoughts like rushing and stuff. I think today is going to be one of those types of videos, and today's video is going to be a little bit emotional. It's something very personal to me, and to be honest, it hasn't been easy, and I think I've been handling the emotions a lot better than I expected, but of course, I'm feeling a lot of pain this very second. I think like these type of situations, it'll never be easy. There is no quick fix to these types of situations, and it's just really a matter of the time you use to heal and help you move on. From the title of the video, I think you guys sort of could guess what I'm going to be talking about. So very recently, I just ended a 3.5 years relationship with my boyfriend. I think it was actually one of the hardest decisions I have ever had to make in my whole life, because of the fact that it wasn't because I hated him. It was just because this mental illness he had, it was just way too big for me to handle, and I was just feeling a lot of pressure, and I was sort of getting really depressed being in this relationship. But before I really get deep into that side of the story, I'm going to explain how we met, how we started dating and stuff like that. So I'm going to call him, Jacob. So me and Jacob, we go to the same university, but we have like very different friend group. I'm actually like a more shy, sort of keep things to myself kind of person, and I just usually hang out with like the very quiet group, and we just like are sort of like on the sidelines just watching like all the action going on. Like that's the type of people I hanged out with. But Jacob, he was like the complete opposite. He was like always the center of attention. He was like sort of like the class clown. He always had something to say. He was very talkative. He was just like a really carefree kind of person. We took the same major, so we actually had a lot of classes together, but we actually never really talked that much. Like maybe we had some projects and then we would be like in the same group and we would talk then, but we weren't friends. We didn't even have like mutual friends. Like we really lived like a different life. We're just like two people that just happened to be in the same university, same major, and we happened to take some same classes. And then one day, I think it was the third year of university, I decided to go study abroad in the Philippines, and he also decided to study abroad in the Philippines as well. So we were both going to study abroad for 1 year. I think that was the first time that I actually get to know Jacob and talk to Jacob. The first 6 months of the study abroad, I actually had like a roommate. I usually would spend time to her, so I think like the first 6 months, it was sort of like the same as like university. We took some classes together. Maybe at this point we just were like sort of friends that we would hang out as a group. As usual, I thought he was like a funny guy, very talkative, stuff like that. My roommate was only going to study abroad for half a year, so she actually went back to Japan before me. So I had to actually move out of my current apartment that I was renting because the room was specifically for 2 people. I could have stayed there, but like I didn't want to pay extra for like a huge room that I won't be using like all the rooms. So yeah, I wanted to downsize the room so I could get like a cheaper room. So like, I moved, and then I think the second half of the year, coincidentally, me and Jacob, we had a lot of classes together. We almost had the same schedule, but like probably 1 or 2 classes were different, but other than that, we all had the same classes, which is why we were always together. At this point, we would like eat lunch together and eat dinner together, and we would just like hang out. And we did have like our own friends that we made in the study abroad, but like our schedule were just so similar. Like we didn't really need to like talk to other people because we already had each other and stuff, and we didn't mind each other's company. It was actually really fun being with him. The more I spent time with him and talked to him, he was a really funny guy. Surprisingly, we had like a lot of things in common. We had like the same exact humor, so yeah, it was just like every day it was just like laughing, joking around, teasing each other and like stuff like that. And we would even like travel around the Philippines together, and yeah, it was just like really fun. Yeah, I started to have a crush on him first, and then the more we spent time together, he started to like me as well. And I think ever since we started to have same classes together, after a month, we were like officially girlfriend and boyfriend. And yeah, everything was really to move. Our relationship just really bloomed from this study abroad. We were just really close. I'm a very shy person. I don't really talk about my emotions, not even my family or like my friends. It's really hard for me to be vulnerable. Even though I really need help, I would talk to people about my problems as if like, you know, I have everything under control. But like with him, I felt like he was someone that I could really depend on. He was really good at handling my emotions, and you know, he was always really good at making me laugh. Like every time we were together, we were literally like laughing our butts off. And it was just really fun because he had a lot of interesting to say. He really opened my mind to a lot of things, which was another thing I liked about him. He was also, I really liked how he was like a very social person. He was also a very kind person too. He always treated everyone the same. He wasn't like a very judgmental person, which I really respect about him. I think actually was going really well till the 3rd year. On the 3rd year, we both graduated university and we both got jobs. We're really starting this chapter in our life where we were really being independent. We were preparing ourselves to be adults, to financially support ourselves, and like, you know, really just go after our dreams and stuff like that. I also moved out of my house and I was gonna start to live on my own and be completely independent on myself. And yeah, I just felt like my life was really getting together. Me and Jacob, we've been planning our future together and stuff, and yeah, it just felt like nothing could get wrong. For me, when I was like thinking about the future, it was only gonna get better. And then one day he actually started to say like very weird comments, like whenever we're like on the train and we get out of the train, he would say like, oh my gosh, I almost bumped into that lady, like I didn't bump into her, right? He would always have to double check if he really didn't hit ladies or like young girls on the train. For some reason, he was very concerned about this, like hitting women on the train. And this happened every time we went on the train, and we used the train a lot because Jacob lived in a different city as me, which is why I always had to go by train, or he had to go by train to visit me. Every time we visit, we both always had to go on trains. Every time we meet, this conversation would always come up, which is why one day I asked him like, why do you even care so much whether you're bump into like ladies anyways? Because before, I seen him like bump into people, but he didn't seem to care. But all of a sudden, he like seemed to be very concerned about this. So I thought it was very, very strange. And when I did, he said that it's because what if I bump into that lady, and what if she thinks that it was chikang? And chikang is like sort of like groping and like touching, usually a man touching a woman. And in very serious cases, people can get arrested for chikang, or there might be like a lawsuit. But in many cases, even if you get chikang in Japan, the police actually don't really take it very seriously. But there are cases, very little, very like very slim cases where people who didn't do chikang are accused for doing chikang because they would accidentally like bump into a lady, and maybe it looked like it was chikang, but it was just really like they were just bumping into her, and bad timing that really made it look like it was chikang. And there was like some innocent people that would get accused for chikang, and because of this, they're sort of labeled as like this person that does chikang. And you know, of course, these kind of labels, it's not good. It's not really good for your reputation. It will be a really bad impression for like companies if you're like trying to get a job and stuff. And like I've said before, me and Jacob, we really like to travel, and apparently if you have like an arrest record in Japan, it will actually be harder to travel, and the places that you can travel, it will be limited. So he was also very concerned about that because he really liked traveling. He really wanted to travel. He didn't want like anything to stop him from traveling. Yeah, I didn't really think too much about it when he told me this. I was like, oh, that's why he's sort of concerned. Okay, I'll say like, you know, you don't have to worry too much about it. The chances of someone thinking that you did chikang is very slim. As long as you're with me, you're going to be safe. And you know, I'll just say that, and I'll try to say stuff to make him feel like, to ease his feelings. But, like, you know, it didn't really affect like our relationship whatsoever. He will sometimes double check, and I would just say, you know, you're fine, like nothing happened and stuff like that, and you know, our day would move on. I think like within a month, this phobia, I'm not really sure if that's the correct term for it, but this phobia sort of like progressed very quickly. He started to be so cautious that he always had to have something in his hand, because if there was nothing in his hand and someone accused him, he didn't really have an excuse. But if he had something in his hands, he could say that, no, I was holding this and this the whole time. It's impossible for me to do that. He started to always hold stuff in his hand. He started to try to find ways to limit, eliminate the possibility of people accusing him for chikan. Whenever he's on the train, he would always hold like the handlebars with both hands till he gets to the station, and when he gets to the station, he would quickly put his hands in his pockets and stuff and like make sure that his hands aren't free. And he would even like ask me like, oh, do you think there's like other things I can do to make sure that people don't think I'm doing chikan? I thought it was strange, but like, if this is going to make him feel more secure, I guess it's okay. And I thought that it was gonna end here. So I was like, yeah, I think if you're doing that much, I think you're going to be fine. Like, no one's gonna ever think you're doing chikan. You're so careful to not like bump into women. Like, you're fine like that. I thought he was going to feel more secure, more calm, and yeah, I thought that was gonna be the end of it, but it wasn't. The day I realized how severe the issue was when he actually was coming over to my apartment after his job, and he of course had to go to a really busy station because I live in a very busy station. And when he got to my apartment, literally his face was like in shock. I never seen him like this. It literally looked like he saw like the most horrific thing in his life, and he's just like so in trauma, like he doesn't even know how to like explain it in words. Usually when he comes to my apartment, like the first thing he does, we will usually like hug or kiss or something, but like it wasn't like that. He was like literally like a mummy. Like he was just like very blank. And when I saw this, I was very like worried, very concerned. Asked him like if he's okay, like you should probably sit down and like, you know, just like calm down a bit. And when I asked him what happened, he said that he can't stop thinking about it. And I said, thinking about what? And then he would say, I passed this lady. I think there's a possibility that I could have bumped into her without noticing. But I did make sure that I didn't bump into her, so I don't think I bumped into her, but I'm not 100% sure. And I'm afraid to go back to the station because what if I come back the next time and they're finding someone that did chikan? And what if that was me? And he was like really afraid that this woman could have thought that he did chikan to her. I did try to soothe him down by saying like, I see how careful you are. You're very cautious when you're like on the train and you're in these like busy stations. I think it would be impossible for you to hit her. I think you don't have to think about it too much. Don't worry. Like, you're gonna go back to the station and nothing wrong will happen. Like, you're gonna be safe. Even if I said these kind of things, it wasn't enough because he didn't have proof that she wouldn't accuse him, and he didn't have proof that he didn't touch her. That night, I would get ready to go in bed. When I go in bed, he's like just sitting on the side of the bed, just like staring blankly at the floor. And when I asked him, he's still thinking about that moment that he passed this lady and he might have hit her. He was still very concerned about that. He was just not very sure, and he was trying to like recall like every second of that memory to make sure that he 100% didn't touch her. And I would tell him like, you know, don't think about it, you know, just sleep and just like sleep it off. If you sleep, you're gonna feel better the next morning. Like, you know, let's just go to sleep. But he doesn't want to go to sleep. I thought that he was gonna eventually get tired and sleep, and I go to sleep before him. And then I wake up in the middle of the night and he's still sitting on the side of the bed and he's still thinking about this. And that was when I realized how severe the issue was, and which is when I told him that I think he should go to a mental clinic and get some treatment. When I told him, he was really afraid to go to the mental clinic because this phobia actually progressed to the point where he was actually afraid to go to the mental clinic because he thought that if he told the doctors would think that only a person that did chikan would be afraid of going to be accused of chikan, and they thought that they're going to think that he was someone that did chikan and call the police. And he didn't trust the doctors. At this point, sort of going to the areas of hallucination. He started to think that everyone was his enemy and everyone was after him. He was even saying that he was afraid that police were finding him and stuff like that. So that was when I knew for sure that he had to go to a mental clinic and get treatment, get like, if there's medications that he needed, he has to get those medications and get like professional advice. Because I personally didn't know how to deal with this kind of situation, so I forced him to go to the mental clinic, and he went and he started to get treatment. When they checked all his symptoms, I forgot what he was diagnosed with. It was something to do with higaimoso. The strange thing is the doctors didn't really know the trigger to this higaimoso. I would talk about this with him a lot and he doesn't know as well. And as far as I know, it was just something that snowballed and just got like bigger and bigger, and it just like to the point that sort of just got out of control. He would even say that before he really didn't even think about it, and he said the first time he did sort of like thought about it was that apparently on the way to his work there's like this shortcut and you have to go through these poles, so it's like a really small space, and sometimes he would go through there if he's like in a rush. And one day when he went through there, at the same time from the opposite direction, 3 high school students came as well, and he said he almost bumped into them. And apparently at this time he thought, wow, like I almost bumped into, like what if they thought I did chikan? It was just like a sort of like a thought that just went across his mind. It wasn't a big deal at that time. He said that that was like the first time he started to think about that. The next thing he knew, it just got really bad and he started to have these hallucinations. And even though like in his mind he knows that he's hallucinating, in his heart and emotionally it was like in very severe panic mode. He was like always really afraid, go on like really busy trains and stuff like that. He wasn't really able to work anymore. He wasn't able to come to my apartment anymore. We weren't able to go to like a lot of places that we used to like to go a long time ago, and the only place that we could hang out was like the areas that he lived. So I always had to go to his house and hang around there because he can't go on the train. And of course we can't go to like places where there's packs of people and stuff, so yeah, the places that we could go were very limited. He like really became a different person very quickly. Like it was just like in a matter of couple of weeks that he really changed to this different person. He wasn't like making jokes like he used to be. He wasn't like that talkative, adventurous person that I used to know. And it really felt like even though he was there in front of me, it felt like he wasn't like the person I used to know, and the person that I loved was already gone. And I would cry every day because it really felt like I lost like a very important person in my life. But like I had hope because he was getting treatment at the mental clinic. I was very hopeful that the treatment will work and it will help him get better and he'll eventually get back to normal. So I stuck around for about 4 or 5 months. It was really difficult because like every time I met him, I would remember that the person that I love is not there, and I would get sad again. And at the same time, since the medications that he was taking, it sort of like suppressed like his emotions, so that whenever he panicked, it would sort of suppress like his panic too, but at the same time it was suppressing a lot of his other emotions, like emotions of being happy as well and being excited. So yeah, he was when we were like talking, he was very empty, and it really felt like I wasn't really talking to someone. It really felt like nothing of him was really left, just like this figure, which was really painful for me to see because I really did love Jacob. He was not only like my best friend, he was like someone that I really saw a future with, and I didn't think that something like this would ruin our relationship. And day by day we were fighting more because I was having a lot of stress because I knew that it was because of his medication, but he wasn't as affectionate as he used to be. He used to always say he loves me, and he would always kiss me and hug me and stuff, but that was all gone. And our conversation, it wasn't as fun as it used to be. We weren't laughing that much. It was just like not as it used to be, if I were to say it like in short. Yeah, I just started to get really depressed because as days go by, my hope of him returning, it just got slimmer and slimmer and slimmer, to the point that I really lost hope that he might return. And the more I think about it, to the point that the more I think about it, I knew that it would be more painful to think more about it when I find out that he is not gonna return, and we're never gonna have like the relationship that we had before. And I knew that it was going to hurt me a lot, so I decided to not have hope anymore. even though we continued this relationship, we were constantly fighting both sides. We weren't really getting any good out of it. Of course, I was stressing him by complaining, and then of course every time we fought, like, I ended up feeling guilty for saying the things I said. I would regret it because I knew that he was going through all this stuff, and I would feel really guilty, and at the same time he would feel guilty because he felt like he was putting me in like this prison of this mental issue that he was having. And yeah, it was just like we were both really not getting anything good out of it, which is why we were talking one day and we just decided to go back to friends. That's how it really ended for us. The reason why I did make this video is because I think that I sort of felt like I wasn't really able to probably say goodbye to the Jacob that I loved and knew, because, you know, he just disappeared so quickly and it was just so sudden. And, you know, it was just really sad that of course, like, through this breakup, I never thought once that I regretted being in this relationship, because I felt that I grew so much from it, and, you know, I had so much good memories. Like, I definitely had a lot of more good memories than bad memories. I was just so sad that it had to just end so soon, because I really was imagining my future with Jacob. And yeah, I would even tell like my sister that, you know, I might like marry this person and stuff like that, but, you know, it was just really painful to realize that maybe that's not how it's going to end. I feel like I was really all over the place with this video, but like, if you're going through something that I'm going through, you're like wondering whether you should stay in the relationship or not, I think it's really important to think about, of course, your mental health, because I felt very depressed in this relationship. And also, so in my case, there were a lot of things I was planning in my life. Like, I really wanted to have kids and stuff, but when I sort of talked about this with Jacob, he said that as long as he had this mental illness continue, he didn't want kids. And there was just like the things that we wanted in our future was really going different directions. These were also things that made me think that maybe that we don't really have a future together. Also, the fact that we were both really not getting anything positive out of this relationship. Like, I was always really angry at him, though I really wish that I could have been more kind and understanding. After we fought, I would feel like really guilty. I would want to say sorry, but at the same time, the things that I did said, maybe it wasn't the nicest thing to say, but at the same time, I was telling the truth. Those were the things I was really concerned about, like our relationship and continuing our relationship and stuff. Emotions were like really all over the place at this time, because I was like guilty at the time. I wanted to say sorry at the same time, but I was also like angry and upset about like A, B, and C and stuff like that. Of course, on his side, you know, he felt guilty that because of this illness, he was making me upset, and it was also affecting me, even though everything was really happening to him. And yeah, it just really came down to the conclusion that it would probably be better for the both of us to, you know, go our separate ways. It was a really hard decision, but I think it was the right decision. Jacob is someone really important to me. I think he'll be always a really good friend of mine. As weird as this may sound, I do actually talk to him every day, because I am really worried about his mental health. And yeah, I just really wanted to make sure that he always has someone to talk to, because I know that he is going through a really hard time in his life. And, you know, I really do hope that he does get better. And we also did talk about that if he does get better and we're both okay with it and we're both free, we're both really open to going back together. But as in for now, since he is very ill, I don't think that's something that we'll be discussing anytime soon. So yeah, for now we're just gonna end our relationship as friends. And as a friend, I'm going to continue to support his recovery, because I think that's really the least thing I can do. And if you're in a similar situation as me, I think there is no easy decision. I think that you should really think about your mental health and whether this relationship is benefiting you and your partner, because sometimes breaking up is the better solution and is actually more healthier for both sides. Because I think like in these type of relationship, there's a lot of guilt that both sides feels, but like once you guys break up, for me, in my experience, I'm actually having like a more healthy relationship with Jacob now. We still talk every day. We also do plan to like meet as friends and stuff. Yeah, I just feel like a really big weight on my shoulders just like got off. So yeah, that's how I personally feel. I hope that this doesn't hurt anyone that is in Jacob's position and they're the one that has like the, well, mental illness. And yeah, like, I don't know. I feel like this topic is just like a really like, it's just like there is never like a correct answer in this situation. I think it's like the matter of the fact that whether your partner is willing to support you or not, or they want to support you as a friend, like how it ended with me and Jacob. I think the best decision is always to find best and most healthy balance for both sides. I think I still need a little bit more time to heal. I really hope that maybe me and Jacob can get back together, but you know, of course, I'm not gonna be thinking about too much about that because at the same time I don't want to hurt myself again. I hope that you guys find this helpful and insightful from hearing my experience. And yeah, see you guys next week. Bye.